Lancaster Downtowners is basically a group of people who have a shared goal or interest in living in their homes in downtown Lancaster as long as possible. And so we're looking at ways to support each other in doing that, providing the kind of services or helping people find the kind of services that they would need that will need in order to be able to extend that length of time that they can live in their own homes. Beginnings of the Lancaster Downtowners it's sort of an interesting story, and I'll give the short version. But about 10 years ago, in a Christian education setting in our local church, I led a 3-month discussion on different aspects of growing older. And on one of those Sundays, in one of those sessions, we talked about where we want to live, or different options for living when we get older in our retirement years. And I brought some brochures for some of the retirement communities, and then I also sort of made up a tongue-in-cheek brochure describing living in downtown Lancaster as a retirement community, and talked about the entry fee to get in, something like what an average price of a house would be. One of the requirements would be that you can walk a block and a half without resting and things like that. And in any case, at the end of that meeting, there were some people in the group who said, when you're interested in talking more about this, let us know. It sounds like a nice option for retirement living. So sometime later, I did call a meeting of interested people, and maybe half of the people in that group were from our church, and the other half were people outside of the church, and who just became aware of it by word of mouth. And from that time on, the group just continued meeting and looking at different options, and very quickly lost connection with the local congregation and took on an identity of its own. So that was the way it began. But shortly after that, we incorporated and subsequently got our 501c3 nonprofit status, and then we also became aware of our interests matching up with sort of a national movement that was spearheaded by a group in Beacon Hill, Boston, and we did spend some money to buy their manual that indicated how you could start your own group like this. They refer to these groups as villages, and we established a board of directors, and so that's a little bit more of the history of how we came together. And the one is sort of providing a social context for growing older together in the city. Every month we have generally an educational activity, an educational program for our members. Then we might have a social event where we go out and eat together. We might attend some sort of an event in downtown, something at the Ware Center maybe, a play up at F&M. So we have that social aspect to our program. Then the other thing that we have right now is a volunteer corps within the group that's available to help other people who need those services. So for example, if one of our members would need transportation to a physician for an appointment, we would have someone that would be able to do that. Maybe some light yard work. We've had people who've said they need some help getting a window air conditioning unit in place, so we'll send somebody out to help put the air conditioner in the window. Another fellow and I helped one of our members rotate a king-size mattress in her bed. Things like that, sort of short-term services, help that we would provide for things that our members couldn't do by themselves or would have to pay someone to come in to do. We also have a list of vetted vendors, and the vetting process is somewhat informal. We simply have other members of the organization recommend people that they have used that they would like to recommend to other people, and we have that list available, and we have them categorized in different areas like automotive repair, legal services, that kind of thing. Basically, if they're willing to answer a few questions for us and subscribe to some of our expectations for how they would provide those services, we put them on the list and make that list available to our members. The future of the organization, as we look at other groups in the U.S., we find a lot that are similar to ours. We find others that are much more developed in that they might have a staff. They would have dues that are much greater than ours and provide more services. Right now our membership dues are very low, and all of the services that we provide are provided by volunteers. We have no paid staff, so it's pretty much the board of directors who are doing the day-to-day operation of what we have. I see as as a next step, hopefully we would be able to provide more services, which would also necessitate an increase in dues from our members, and provide more services so that we have more help for our people who are members. Our goal is not to duplicate any services that already exist. We have many fine organizations in the Lancaster area that will come into your home and provide housekeeping services, nursing care, all those sorts of things. So we would want to have staff that could help our people find those services, in addition to providing some services within the membership of the organization. But a lot of what we would look forward to doing is just helping people to find the services that already exist, the services that would fit best for them. Yeah, for people who want to start their own group, it's one of the best resources is an organization called VTV, Village to Village. As we call ourselves Lancaster Downtowners, but many groups in other city areas in the U.S. refer to their organization as villages. And this village model, as I said before, came out of Beacon Hill, Boston, and they have organized, and you can find this on the internet, organized something called VTV, or Village to Village. And on the VTV website, there are a lot of resources that you can find simply by going to the website. You'll find references to all the villages that are associated with them in the U.S., and you would be surprised how many there are. But they do provide more resources for a yearly membership of $300 or $350, and that would be a very important investment to make, to find out what other groups are doing, to be able to pose questions, to be able to take part in webinars that are very well programmed and give you a lot of information. And then Beacon Hill in Boston also offers a startup manual, which you can purchase. We found that very important for us. It's not necessarily a boilerplate for exactly the way you would organize your group, but it's just a good way to get started and find out how other people have done it, and then look at your own needs, and you'll find that your group would develop its own character based on interest and location and that kind of thing. A lot of these people in these villages have their own history of successes and difficulties, and they're very happy to share them with you. At one point along the way, I visited someone from Capitol Hill Village. I took a day and went down to D.C. and found them very helpful just to hear, just to engage in conversation with them, find out a little bit of their story, and help for us and our story coming together.